Welcome to Read Aloud with Mr. Paul. I'm so glad you could be here. Be sure to subscribe so you won't miss a single story.
Today we'll be reading The Snow Princess by Ruth Sanderson. The Snow Princess by Ruth Sanderson. Inspired by the Russian opera The Snow Maiden. Long ago and far away, Father Frost and Mother Spring had a daughter. They called her their Snow Princess because she could call up snowstorms at will. At first, she could create only small flurries. She loved to dance and spin as the snow swirled around her. As the Snow Princess grew older, she was able to call up mighty snowstorms. In time, the little Snow Princess became a beautiful maiden who learned to use her power wisely. She begged her parents to let her leave their home in the icy north so that she might see more of the world. They agreed to let her go, with one warning. "Remember this," Mother Spring said. "You must never fall in love." "Yes," said Father Frost. "You are safe from death, so long as love for a man does not enter your heart." The Snow Princess shivered when she heard these words, but she longed to see the world, so she bid her parents goodbye. The Snow Princess had many companions in her travels. She crossed barren deserts of ice and snow with the polar bears. Then she traveled south with herds of reindeer. In the great forests, wolves padded silently by her side. At night, snowy owls cast blue-black shadows as they glided above her in the moonlight. But, as much as she loved all the animals, she longed to see people and learn about their ways. Eventually, the Snow Princess reached the outskirts of a small village. She watched in fascination as two children built a snowman. Next to a cottage, a man with a red beard chopped wood, while a young man forked hay into a sheep pen. The young shepherd laughed when the two children threw snowballs at him. As the sun set and turned the snow to pale gold, a smiling woman opened the cottage door and called the family in for dinner. For many days, the Snow Princess watched from the forest as the family went about their daily routine. Sometimes the young man played on a flute, and his little brother and sister danced in the snow. They all looked so merry. One day, a group of people came by. They wore festive clothing, and some carried musical instruments. "Come on, Sergei, we'll be late for the festival," called one of them, and the young shepherd joined them, his flute in hand. The Snow Princess followed in the woods as the group strolled along to the village. She was so interested in their laughing and chattering that she forgot to keep hidden. It was Sergei who turned to her and said, "It would be much easier to walk on the path. Why don't you join us?" He stopped and offered her his hand. The Snow Princess was terrified, but her curiosity was stronger than her fear. Taking his hand, she stepped out of the woods and onto the path. When he asked her name, she knew somehow that Snow Princess was not a proper human name. She had heard him call his little sister by the name of Katya, so she said, "Call me Katya." At the winter festival, there were reindeer races, ice skating, and singing and dancing contests. Throughout the day, different musicians played for the dancers. Finally, Sergei and his friends played, and couples danced by the light of bonfires until at last everyone was exhausted and could dance no more. Sergei went over to the Snow Princess and asked if he could walk her home. How could she explain that the forest was her home, and the snow was her bed and blanket? When she shook her head, Sergei said, "Then I hope we will meet again soon." That night, the Snow Princess dreamed of her parents. Father Frost repeated his warning, "You are safe from death, so long as love for a man does not enter your heart. She did not feel very safe. In the morning, she did not go to watch Sergei tend the sheep, or to see his brother and sister playing in the snow. Instead, she walked northward into the wild woods and vowed to forget the world of humans. The Snow Princess tried to amuse herself by spending time with the animals in the forest. She played with the foxes, chased the hares, and wandered with herds of deer. She called up snow flurries and tried to dance, but felt no joy in it. As the weeks passed, the Snow Princess grew more and more unhappy. Finally, she could stand her solitude no longer. She turned back south toward the village, and she reached the cottage in a few days. Sergei was fixing a broken shutter, and she made up her mind to speak to him. For how could that cause harm? She invited him to take a walk with her. "It would be my pleasure, Katya," he said. The Snow Princess smiled. She liked having a real name. When they reached a clearing, Katya paused and said, "Would you play your flute for me?" As Sergei played for Katya, she felt a warmth she had never experienced. And so, the Snow Princess and the shepherd became friends, and she looked forward to seeing him every day. The long winter months passed quickly, and in her happiness, Katya forgot her parents' warning. One night, Katya had a terrible dream. In it, Father Frost was angry. "I tell you again, you are safe from death so long as love for a man does not enter your heart." As he spoke, he sent an ice storm to freeze her heart. The Snow Princess awoke with a start. She did not want to die. She must try to freeze her heart, like her father did in her dream, so that love could not enter. She summoned a snowstorm, and for a time forgot herself in the fury of the wind and snow. "My heart is cold," she told herself, as she huddled against the base of a huge tree. She let the storm rage on for the whole night, feeling cold to the bone. In the morning she awoke to the sound of voices calling Sergei's name. She heard one man tell another that Sergei had gotten lost in the storm, trying to find a sheep that had escaped its pen. Although the sheep had found its way home, Sergei himself was still missing. They were starting a search party to find him. Katya rushed to join the search. As the hours passed with no sign of the shepherd, her worry deepened. The Snow Princess began to feel a strange warmth in her heart. The snow started to melt as well, as if in sympathy with her feelings. "If I die, so be it," the Snow Princess thought to herself. "Just let me find him first," she prayed. Her heart grew warmer. The snow continued to melt. The Snow Princess searched and searched. At long last, the melting snow revealed her love, half buried and unconscious. He must have tripped over a root in the dark and fallen. "Sergei, wake up! Please wake up, Sergei!" she cried as she knelt beside him. "Ah, my Snow Princess," he said, opening his eyes. "Am I dreaming? Or have I died and this is heaven?" "It is I who will die soon," said Katya, "for I am the daughter of Father Frost and Mother Spring, and they told me I would die if I fell in love." She touched the cheek of the shepherd, and suddenly her fingers felt warm. Her face was no longer pale, but had a healthy pink glow. As a matter of fact, she felt quite wonderful, not in the least like she was dying. As the snow continued to melt, the bare patches of earth began to send up shoots and leaves and buds. Katya watched in amazement. Then she saw her mother, Spring, standing amidst the new growth. "I love a man and I have not died yet," said Katya to her mother. "You will die surely enough, my daughter," said Mother Spring. For love has touched your heart. Now you are human and mortal, and like all mortals, you will grow old and die. After she spoke, Mother Spring slowly faded from Katya's sight. Who were you talking to? Asked Sergei. I thought I heard the voice, but I didn't see anyone there. Katya smiled and helped him to his feet. It was no one, she said, just a spring breeze waking the earth from its long winter sleep. Then Katya and Sergei walked hand in hand out of the forest into the warm sunshine of a perfect spring day.
Thank you so much for joining me for Read Aloud with Mr. Paul. Until next time, discover the wonder in a book. Pick one up. Take a look.
For more magical stories, like and subscribe to Read Aloud with Mr. Paul. Thanks again.